It's not from lack of effort, but from lack of architecture. People work hard, but they build on sand. They hustle without a blueprint. And when the storms of life come, all that effort washes away. A life that works is one built by design, not by default. It's like constructing a building. You wouldn't start pouring concrete before the plans are drawn. Yet that's how many people live. They rise each day and get to work, but they never stop to ask, what am I building? You see, effort without structure leads to frustration. It's like rowing a boat in circles. You're sweating, but you're not moving. And some people have been rowing for 20 years, wondering why they're still at the same dock. The secret is that life obeys certain rules. Just as gravity doesn't care who you are, the laws of behavior and consequence don't play favorites. Sow good seed, you get good harvest. Neglect the field, weeds take over. It's not personal, it's principle. And once you learn those principles, you can predict your results. When I was young, I thought success was luck, or talent, or connections. But it isn't. Success is structure. It's the architecture of choices, habits, and philosophies that quietly compound over time. People who live well have built well. They didn't leave it to chance. They obeyed the rules. So tonight, I want to walk through 7 of those rules. 7 ideas that can turn a life of chaos into a life that runs smoothly. Each one is simple, but none are easy, because they require honesty, discipline, and courage, the tools of a real builder. The first rule is the foundation. Without it, nothing else works. You can't build excellence on excuses. You can't build strength on blame. You can't build freedom on denial. The starting point of all achievement is ownership. Full, unfiltered, absolute responsibility. The first rule for a life that works is simple to say and hard to live. Take 100% responsibility. Nothing improves until ownership begins. Most people never make that leap. They live in a story built around blame. The job didn't pay enough. The boss didn't notice. The economy turned bad. The parents didn't support. The partner didn't understand. There's always someone or something to point to. And as long as the finger points outward, power flows outward. But here's the truth. If someone else is responsible for your results, you've surrendered control of your life. Responsibility and control travel together. You can't have one without the other. The day you take full responsibility is the day you gain full control. I remember when I finally understood that nothing was going to change for me until I changed. I was waiting for circumstances to improve before I improved. But life doesn't work that way. Circumstances follow character. When a person steps up to claim ownership of every result, good or bad, something powerful happens. They move from victim to architect. Taking responsibility doesn't mean taking the blame for everything that happens. It means accepting that you have responsibility, the ability to choose your response. That's the real freedom. You can't always control events, but you can always control your attitude, your effort, your decisions. And over time, that determines everything. Think about it. 2 people lose a job. One spends months complaining, telling everyone how unfair it was. The other spends a week reflecting, then says, all right, what can I learn? What can I do next? One person repeats the story, the other rewrites it. Same situation, different outcome, because of responsibility. Now, this isn't glamorous work. It's not as exciting as blaming the government or the system or the neighbors, but it's the only path that leads to strength. Blame keeps you weak. Responsibility makes you powerful. The moment you say, I'm responsible, the game changes. Suddenly you can fix, You can plan, you can act. You stop waiting for rescue and start designing your own rescue plan. You start thinking differently. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what next? You can't change the past, but you can change your philosophy about the past. You can use it as a lesson instead of a label. And when you do that, you begin to master the cause instead of being at the mercy of the effect. A working life begins when you stop outsourcing blame. Because the truth is, there's only one person who goes with you to every job, every relationship, every decision, yourself. And until that person takes full command, the results will remain inconsistent. Responsibility is the starting line of freedom. Everything else builds from here. Once this rule is in place, the next step is to decide what the finish line looks like, to define exactly what a life that works means to you. Once you've taken responsibility, the next question is, responsibility for what? What exactly are you building? That brings us to the second rule. Define what works means to you. Without definition, there is drift. You can't live a life that works if you don't know what working looks like. Most people wake up and move through their days reacting to what comes at them. Bills, emails, obligations, noise. They're busy, but directionless. They've never sat down to design the picture of a life that feels right to them. A life that works must align with your own values, not someone else's expectations. Too many people inherit a script. They follow what others call success, a bigger house, a better car, a title, applause. And one day they look up, tired and restless, wondering why it all feels hollow. It's because they built someone else's dream instead of their own. When you define what works, you draw the blueprint for your own satisfaction. Maybe for you it's peace of mind. Maybe it's strong relationships, meaningful work, or steady growth. It can be wealth, but not if wealth becomes the cage. A life that works fits like a tailored suit. It doesn't squeeze or sag. It moves with you. Clarity is the foundation of improvement. You can't fix what you haven't defined. You can't hit a target you haven't set. So take time to write it down. What kind of life would truly work for you? What would a balanced, fulfilling day look like? What would progress feel like? Don't let the world define your scoreboard. Someone else's applause will never fill your silence. The applause fades the moment you step off stage. But inner alignment lasts. You know when your life fits and when it doesn't. You can feel it in the morning when you wake up and in the evening when you rest. Now, once you've defined it, guard that definition. Because the world is noisy. It will try to sell you its version of success every day. The billboards, the ads, the headlines, they all shout, buy this, chase that. But the truth is, happiness doesn't come from more. It comes from meaning, and meaning comes from clarity. When you know what works means to you, decision-making becomes easier. You can say yes with conviction and no without guilt. You stop comparing, you stop competing, and you start creating. The person who knows what matters most is rarely confused. A well-designed life is one where your actions match your values, your time, your energy, your money, all flowing toward what you've decided matters. That's a life that works. Once you know what works looks like, the next challenge is time. Because even a good plan will fail if the clock runs your life instead of you running the clock. That's where the third rule comes in. Master time. Don't chase it. Time is the great equalizer. Every person, rich or poor, gets the same 24 hours. The question is never how much time you have. It's how well you use it. That's why the third rule for a life that works is simple. Master time. Don't chase it. Most people spend their days reacting. They wake up late, rush through breakfast, answer messages, fight fires, and call it being busy. But activity is an accomplishment. Movement doesn't always mean progress. If time is running you, you'll always feel behind, even on your best days. The secret isn't more time, it's better priorities. Time management is really priority management. You can't manage minutes, you can only manage what fills them. The person who understands this starts to work on purpose, not just out of habit. I used to think that discipline meant doing everything. Later, I learned it means doing the right things. You can be efficient at the wrong tasks and still end up nowhere. A full calendar can hide an empty life. So the key question isn't how much did I do, but did I do what matters? Time mastery starts with intention. Each morning, know what deserves your best energy. The first few hours of the day often decide the direction of the rest. Don't give your best hours to trivial things. Protect them like treasure, because they are. A life that works runs on schedule, not emotion. If you wait to feel like doing what's important, you'll wait forever. Successful people design their days before emotion wakes up. They decide the schedule, and then they honor it. Discipline first, feelings later. Think of time like currency. You can spend it, invest it, or waste it. Spend it carelessly, and it's gone forever. Invest it in learning, building, connecting, and it compounds. Every hour has a return. The question is, are you earning or burning it? Most of life's frustration comes from overcommitting. We say yes too quickly and then wonder why we're exhausted. But here's the truth. Every yes is a no to something else. You can't add without subtracting. So, if you want time to build a better life, you have to cut what doesn't serve it. Learn to pause before you promise. Learn to schedule before you start. And learn to protect your quiet hours like they're gold. Because that's where reflection happens. And reflection refines everything. There's an old saying, don't get so busy making a living that you forget to design a life. A life that works is a balanced one, where effort and rest, ambition and peace all live in rhythm. If you don't master time, time will master you. But once you bring order to your hours, your days begin to flow. And with that flow comes peace. Because you know where your energy is going and why. Now, even with your time under control, there's another battle that determines whether your life runs smoothly or falls apart. The battle for the mind. And that's where the fourth rule takes us. Guard the mind. Rule number 4, guard the mind. The mind is the control tower of your life. Everything begins there. Your results, your habits, your attitude. All of it starts as a thought. And here's the law. Your results will always match your philosophy. Not your wishes, not your intentions, your philosophy. Because how you think determines how you act, and how you act determines how you live. If the mind is unguarded, life becomes chaotic. It's like leaving the doors of your home open in the middle of the night and wondering why trouble keeps walking in. The same goes for your mental doors. What you read, what you watch, who you spend time with, what you repeat to yourself. Every input is a seed. And over time, those seeds grow into habits, attitudes, and outcomes. So you have to be deliberate about what you allow in. Garbage in, garbage out. It's as simple as that. Feed your mind with gossip, negativity, and fear, and you'll harvest anxiety, doubt, and confusion. Feed it with wisdom, truth, and inspiration, and you'll harvest clarity, confidence, and calm. I learned early that success isn't just about working hard. It's about thinking right, Two people can face the same setback. One sees a reason to quit, the other sees a reason to learn. Same problem, different philosophy. And that difference decides who grows and who repeats the lesson. Protecting the mind takes discipline. It means turning off what dulls you and turning toward what sharpens you. It means choosing mentors over media, books over noise, reflection over reaction. Most people guard their money more carefully than their thoughts, but your thoughts create the conditions that make or lose money in the first place. What you let into your head shapes what comes out of your mouth, what drives your decisions, and what fills your days. That's why I always say, stand guard at the door of your mind. Be as selective about ideas as you are about food. You wouldn't eat poison by accident. Don't think poison by habit. And remember, you can't think high while living low. The quality of your thoughts must match the quality of the life you want. That's why reading matters. That's why surrounding yourself with people of vision and discipline matters. They stretch your thinking. They challenge your small talk. They elevate your standards. When you guard the mind, you build a filter that protects your focus. And focus is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Most people don't need more time. They need fewer distractions. The clearer the mind, the smoother the path. So if you want a life that works, make your mind your strongest ally, not your weakest link. Once your mind is guarded, it's time to turn that clarity into structure, because inspiration without system is like power without direction. It burns out fast. That brings us to rule number 5. Build systems, not goals. Rule number 5. Build systems, not goals. Most people are taught to chase goals. They make lists, set deadlines, write affirmations, and wait for motivation to carry them through. But here's the truth. Goals give direction. Systems create consistency. Goals can inspire you, but systems sustain you. Without structure, motivation fades. Without routine, progress collapses. A goal says run a marathon. A system says run 5 miles every morning. A goal says lose 20 pounds. A system says eat clean, train daily, rest well. A goal is the target. A system is the process. And it's the process that makes the target possible. When you rely on motivation, you're in trouble. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes. Systems are mechanical. They keep going whether you feel like it or not. The person who wins is the one who has built habits so strong that discipline takes over where feelings fade. The reason most people fail is not because they lack vision, but because they lack design. They want success to come from inspiration instead of construction. But a life that works runs on predictable rhythms. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think about a well-run business. It doesn't survive on enthusiasm alone. It survives because of systems, clear processes, checklists, standards. The same is true for your personal life. Build routines for your health, your finances, your learning, your relationships. Turn the important things into habits so you don't have to decide every day whether to do them. When I was younger, I used to get excited about setting big goals. But excitement doesn't get you across the finish line. Consistency does. It's what you do repeatedly that defines who you become. Success is never a one-time event. It's the accumulation of right actions practiced daily. A system takes the burden off willpower. You don't have to wake up and wonder if you'll do the right thing. You've already built it into your day. Systems turn discipline into autopilot. So if you're struggling to follow through, stop asking for more motivation and start designing better systems. Instead of trying harder, make it easier to win. Automate your good choices. Schedule your best habits. Simplify the path between intention and action. The goal gets you started. The system keeps you going. And when you build systems around your values, your life begins to operate smoothly, with less friction and more flow. Once systems are in place, you'll need one more layer to hold everything together: standards. Systems work best when they're guided by principles that don't bend to mood or convenience. That brings us to rule number 6. Stay accountable to standards. Rule number 6, stay accountable to standards. A life that works is measured against standards, not moods. Most people live by emotion. They do what they feel like doing. And because feelings change, so do their results. Discipline collapses, consistency fades, and they wonder why progress never lasts. But the people who build strong lives measure themselves by something higher than emotion. They measure by principle. Standards are the guardrails of excellence. They define what's acceptable and what's not. They set the tone for your behavior, even when no one's watching. You can't build a great life with casual rules. You need non-negotiables, clear lines that protect what matters most. Health is a standard. Integrity is a standard. Effort is a standard. Growth is a standard. When you hold yourself to these, you stop drifting and start directing. Because standards don't depend on circumstance. They depend on decision. When you live by standards, your days gain structure. You no longer ask, do I feel like it? You ask, does it meet my standard? That's the difference between amateurs and professionals, between wishers and workers. Amateurs wait for the mood. Professionals act on the standard. And the beautiful thing is, once your standards rise, your results follow. Life responds to consistency. You don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. If you tolerate excuses, you'll live with average. If you insist on excellence, you'll attract excellence. Accountability keeps those standards alive. You can't hold yourself to high ground if you never measure your steps. Review your performance. Reflect each week. Ask, did I live my standards today? Did I give my best in health, in work, in honesty, in learning? Without review, drift returns. The strongest people I've known weren't the loudest or the most talented. They were the most consistent. They had quiet rules for themselves that they refused to break. Not because anyone was watching, but because self-respect was. When you honor your standards, confidence grows. You trust yourself again. You stop negotiating with laziness and distraction. You stop needing applause because your own word means something. And here's the truth. Discipline may feel like restriction, but it's actually freedom. It's freedom from regret, from chaos, from mediocrity. A high standard doesn't trap you. It lifts you. Now, once you're living by standards, there's one more rule that completes the circle. Because even the best system, schedule, and standard will go stale if you stop expanding. Life isn't meant to stay still. It's meant to grow. That's why rule number 7 is the mission behind them all. Keep growth as the mission. Rule number 7, keep growth as the mission. The goal of life is not comfort, it's capacity. Comfort feels good for a moment, but it dulls your edge. Growth, on the other hand, stretches you, strengthens you, and gives meaning to every challenge. A life that works is one that keeps expanding, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially. The day you stop growing, your life starts shrinking. I've seen it happen to too many people. They hit a certain level of success, then settle. They think, I've made it, and they coast. But coasting only goes downhill. Growth is the antidote to stagnation. It's what keeps enthusiasm alive. Growth doesn't always feel good. In fact, it often feels uncomfortable. Muscles grow by tearing. Character grows by testing. Every stretch hurts a little. But that pain signals progress. The key is to learn to value the discomfort that comes with development. Don't resist it. Use it. Life will always present challenges. The question is whether you let those challenges diminish you or develop you. You can either be broken by the weight or built by it. Every experience, win or loss, can make you wiser if you choose to extract the lesson. Keep growth at the center of everything. Make learning a lifelong pursuit. Read, reflect, observe, ask questions. Growth begins with curiosity. The moment you think you know it all, you close the door to the next level. And don't just grow for yourself. Grow so you can contribute. The purpose of expansion is not to accumulate, but to serve. A person who keeps growing becomes a source of strength to others. A mentor, an example, a builder of better lives. It's easy to think growth happens automatically with time, but time doesn't guarantee growth. Intent does. Some people live 10 years of the same year repeated, while others live 1 year of experience 10 times over. The difference is awareness. Reflection turns time into wisdom. So ask yourself regularly, am I growing or just going through the motions? Am I expanding my capacity or defending my comfort? Growth requires honesty, and honesty requires humility. Those who stay teachable never outgrow their potential. When growth becomes the mission, success becomes a byproduct. Because growth changes how you think, and how you think changes what you attract. A growing person doesn't chase opportunities, they create them. So keep climbing, keep reading, keep refining your habits, and deepening your understanding. The reward for becoming better is not just what you get, it's who you become. And when growth becomes your way of life, balance, clarity, and discipline fall naturally into place. That's when everything starts to work, not by luck, but by alignment. Which brings us to the close, the final reflection on what it means to live a life that truly works. A life that works is not luck. It's alignment. When the pieces fit, life moves with rhythm. It doesn't mean there are no problems. It means you've built the strength and structure to face them. When you live by rules that honor discipline, clarity, and growth, life stops fighting you and starts rewarding you. Think about it. When you take full responsibility, you stand on solid ground. When you define what works means to you, direction replaces confusion. When you master time, you control the flow instead of being swept by. When you guard your mind, wisdom replaces noise. When you build systems, consistency replaces chaos. When you stay accountable to standards, excellence replaces excuses. And when you keep growth as the mission, life stays alive, vibrant, and full of meaning. That's a life that works, not perfect, just functional, balanced, and strong. It's the same in nature. The seasons never miss their turn. The sun rises on schedule. The laws of the universe don't argue. They align. And that's the secret. Life works when you do. The human being is part of that same order. When behavior lines up with principle, reward follows naturally. People often search for shortcuts, but there are none. The shortest path is still through the fundamentals: responsibility, clarity, time, focus, structure, standards, growth. You can't skip these and expect peace. They're not rules to restrict you, they're rails to keep your train on track. Now, when you live by these 7 rules, something subtle begins to happen. The days start to flow more easily. The mind becomes clearer. Decisions come quicker. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop waiting for life to get easier and instead become stronger. That's the shift from reaction to design. The person who lives by design doesn't fear the future. They build it. They know that every day is a brick in the structure of something lasting. Every small act of discipline becomes part of a bigger result. Every lesson learned becomes another layer of wisdom. And the best part? When your life starts working, it influences others. People notice the order, the peace, the steadiness. They feel it. And your example becomes the spark for their own change. That's how leadership begins. Not by command, but by demonstration. So let your life be the evidence. Let your habits speak louder than your words. Let your consistency become your character. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust the sail. You can't control the seasons, but you can control your planting. And when you obey the timeless rules of life, harvest is certain. A life that works isn't found. It's built. Piece by piece, day by day, decision by decision. It's not a miracle. It's a method. So take the rules, live them, refine them, and pass them on. Because the world needs more examples of lives that work. Lives that shine quietly, run smoothly, and remind the rest of us what's possible when discipline meets purpose. That's the architecture of success. That's the rhythm of order. That's a life that works.